We are Splash, a youth arts workshop providing free art classes for urban youth. In this video, we are drawing the landscapes of the human face.
Hello everybody. How you doing today? This is Splash and I'm Charlie Newton, your teaching artist for today. Splash is for everybody because I believe that all children deserve the right to be creative. We're going to draw the landscapes of the face, the landscapes of the face. There are some traditional ways of drawing, but I'm just going to draw my way. By the way, for Splash students, and if you're not a student, go to our website, splashyoutheartsworkshop.org. That's splashyoutheartsworkshop.org. You can make donations there, but also you can sign up there. Because what I'm going to do, I know one of the most important things that ever happened to me is when I got my first easel. And working on an easel is totally different than working on a table. We use a drafting table because most kids don't have an easel. But I would like for Splash students to have an easel. So if you are a student and if you do all the classes that we do, we're going to have in March and April, all the online classes, I'm going to make it my business to get you an easel for you to paint and draw on. I'll also get you a drawing board. Okay, so we're also trying to supply kids with art supplies because they can get expensive, and that's why we're doing that. And that's one of the blessings of COVID-19. We were able to do that, get art supplies into the hands of children. So let's get started. We're going to draw this bust of an African American person. So it's made out of plaster, and that's why it's white. But you see, you can still tell this is an African American by the features that's on his face. You see the rounded nose, you see the large lips, you see the bone structure that is more prevalent in people of color, not just African American, but you see these same structures in Hispanic people, even some Aborigine. And so we're going to draw this bust and we're going to focus on the landscape. When I say landscapes, this is what I mean. I bumped that camera. Do I need to move this camera back here? Okay, let's see. So this, if you look at a landscape, you see mountains, hills, and bumps, and things like that. Lumps and bumps and mountains and hills. Now if I drew a line here and did something like that, you would say this is a landscape with a river or something in front of it. Well, the face have landscapes too. Have lumps and bumps. See? See what I mean? So we want to get the landscape of the face when you look at the face full frontal, a front view. Let's start with our H pencil. I have a 2H, so I'm going to use that. By the way, Splash Kids, you have sandpaper pads for you to put a point on your pencil if you need to. You also have a pencil sharpener. We have a kneaded eraser that you can twist and use, and when it gets dirty, so you can knead the dirty part away and get a clean part, and you can do details. We also have an art gum, and I'll only use art gums when I want to get rid of something really fast, something that's taking a lot of space or a lot of room. So remember, the face is sort of like an oval egg shape where the chin is smaller than the head. So the chin is going to be down here. And then you have a line in the middle for the eyes, a line for the nose, a line for the mouth. And there's a line that goes straight down. Now this face is sort of tilted upward, just like if a person modeled for you. I don't know why, but people tend to tilt their face up a little bit, and that's fine. So let's just draw. So we're just looking for the landscape of the face. And this plaster model is so that we can practice drawing. Shadows are cast. If I wanted to, I could set up a light source on either side. But here, today, we have multiple light sources. So I'm just going to start with this eye. So the tear ducts under the eye, we can't see it well on this side, but when we get to the other side, you'll be able to see these tear ducts here. I'm going to use this I'm using a 2H pencil. I'm going to use this 2H pencil, for until I need to go to something else. I may not need another pencil. So everywhere you see shadows, that shows you there's some type of indentation. The brow is around here. This is the brow, right where the eyebrows are. And this goes back in space a little bit. And then it folds, the head folds back under. So since I understand anatomy a little bit, what you do for a portrait is you do the measurements. You do the measurements that will satisfy anatomy, but then since we're not, nobody's exactly the same, then you go back and make changes that you deem necessary. Since we're not robots, it's going to be slightly different, but usually the distance between two eyes would be another eye. So I can use my ruler here. Say this eye is about the length of this eye, the width of this eye is 1 inch. So if I measure an inch here, then another inch. That's the other eye will start there. But now I'm seeing that, okay, there's a slight difference. I'm going to take another measurement. And these measurements are so that I can get a idea of where this eye might be. But I'm going back to my contour drawing, and now I'm touching his face. I'm touching this bust. And by the way, I'm noticing since the face is turned upward, the lines are going to bend like that a little bit. If the face looking that directly at you, the lines might be straight, but since it bends upward, this is front view, it's going to do that. So the features are going to sit on the face like that, okay? Slightly, very slight. So now I'm using my contour drawing skills to say, I'm sort of trying to touch this face with my pencil. And I see that on this bust, this eye starts here. Now, if it was 1 inch, the eye would start there, but it's not quite 1 inch, so the eye's going to start here, I think. This is how I'm seeing it. Then I can measure the eye again. It's like a little bit like an inch and a 16th or something like that. It's a little bit larger than an inch. So the eye's going to end here. So you draw backwards and forward. I'm putting enough detail for me. You might not want to draw this much detail at this time. To me, this is not really detail. I'm just touching, I'm just sketching. But it may look like detail. But I can change this at any time. Now, I want to remember to tell, you see, now this angle, I have the angle of this eye is pretty good, but this angle is wrong. The angle of this eye is wrong, so it needs to be sloped down a little bit. Now I have astigmatism, so I know I'm not seeing things correctly. So I have to use whatever my knowledge is to help me see and correct things. That's why I wear glasses, because I have astigmatism in my eyes, so I don't see things totally level. So this is still not right. So what I'm doing, I'm putting my ruler on here. I'm making sure that it's lined up correctly on the edge of my paper. And now I'm going to use the art gum and start over. I'm trying to draw what I see, but I also want to use what I know. So you take your time. This I'm noticing really the imperfections of this bust now. The problems with this bust. So anyway, no big deal. As long as it looks like, as long as you try to draw what you see. So I didn't need to erase this, because the bust is doing this, what I see. So that's why you can't just go by these formulas. I mean, you want to know the formula, but then you make changes depending on how you see whatever you're trying to do. The nose is basically a triangle. You have the bridge of the nose here, then you have the nostrils that sort of flare out. Now, to actually get good at drawing the face, some people are really good at drawing the face because that's all they do, draw faces. And if you stop drawing the face after about a month or two, you will lose some of your skills. I'm going to put some tissue paper here so that I don't rest my hands. I'm just going to use hatching and cross hatching for this. Splash students have your I forgot what it's called. You have your blending tool. I want you to resist using it. Sometimes when I'm drawing, and those of you who really like art, you love art, and you do art all the time, I just go to another world, and it's hard for me to talk. And we don't let kids really talk in class that much unless we're doing a project where you can talk to your neighbor, and you can exchange ideas. But when learning a new concept or whatever, learning how to use a new medium, we don't want you to talk because we want you to really concentrate very deeply. So this tear duct right here, it goes back in space to this line, to this area. Then it comes back out, turns back out to the cheeks. And then this side of the face here, it goes back in space. I'm glad that I have this light is showing that. The dark area is the face that's going back in space. A lot of times when you're drawing people, or if you're drawing from a photograph, you might forget that. I know I do. You might forget the landscape of the face. So from the brow, the head turns back dramatically. And for me personally, there's a triangular shape underneath the nose, and there's an indentation here. And getting this little area correct really helps to describe the portrait. If you're doing a portrait of a person, you really want to pay close attention to measure everything, because that's what's going to describe that person's face. And of course, for advanced artists, it goes beyond just a physical representation. It goes to actually making some comment about, the person's personality. So the nose comes out here and turns under. And I'm trying to use the lines like right now to describe what's happening. The lips in this area, it projects forward, but then it turns back slightly to this area here. Now I'm just measuring where the end of the mouth seems to be. Now I'm using the eyes to measure that. I close one eye and put my pencil up to the thing I'm drawing. So I'm trying to draw the shape of this line, the landscape of this line here, that describes the top lip meeting the bottom lip. So from this line here, the top of the top lip, it folds back underneath. It's not flat. The top lip is not flat. The lips are not flat. They turn out and in. It's like a 3 from the side. So the good thing about the plaster model is I'm not thinking about skin color, skin tone. I'm just trying to draw the volumes. And the light, the way the light is hitting, helps me to see it. I see the difference in this area of the cheek and that area. And then when the lips come out, there's a difference there. And the slight shading here shows that to me. Show that to me. Reveal that to me. So that's all I'm thinking about right now. So I'm really measuring with my eyes. It's really like, what does it look like to me? But there are other ways to measure things. Like I really want to know this chin, from the lip to the bottom of the chin, how long is that? That will help describe this face too. So right now I'm thinking the contour. I'm touching the face with my eyes. And my hand moves with my eye. And when you're drawing, and when you're practicing drawing, especially, you notice, you make 1,000 mistakes. It's just a matter of solving problems. It's problem solving and trying to fix the mistakes. Because I'll see something one way, then next time I look at it, it looks totally different. And you see problems. Like I know I want this line to be closer to this. I don't want as much space here. I had to try to figure out, how do I solve that? I've made a mistake somewhere. So I'm still sketching. And as I'm sketching, I'm modeling. Now you want to get to the point where you don't have to project, where you can see what you're doing. And you're rarely going to be totally satisfied. Sometimes you will be. But the more you learn, the harder it is for you to be satisfied. So now I'm just trying to describe the face. I'm actually doing a contour of the face, but I'm touching the face. I'm not just doing an outline or a silhouette. So I'm actually touching the face. Now I just widen that line to tell myself, okay, I think it may end there. Now I may go back with my kneaded eraser and remove some of the graphite if I want to make this look white like the bust. Or I could not use my kneaded eraser and just shade it darkly, and then it'll look more like it has a skin tone. So it just depends. I want to find out, where are the ears? So I think the mature artists realize that you know, that there's a lot that he or she is missing. I know that. I know that I'm missing a lot, but that don't bother me, because I'll look for it when it's time, in due time, due season. There will be no wine before it's time. So, and I'm using, now let me show you something that I just discovered. I need to make a decision about these eyes again. I'm going to go over here to this eye, make a decision about this eye. I think I'm going to make this eye smaller. So once you make a change, it changes everything on your picture, be it drawing or painting. Change one thing, everything changes. Okay, so I wanted to make that eye smaller. Now I'm going back over here to this side. Wow, I have to make a major change over here. I'm going to bring this eye in. The more you look, the more you see. So this is why we have sketch pads. This is why we sketch. Now, if I was painting this thing, if this was a commission or something, it had to look like this person, I would make changes, keep making changes until I feel comfortable. I'm bringing everything in. I made both eyes smaller, so that means I'm changing everything. I'm bringing everything in. I'm not just going with my first marks and my first idea. I'm bringing everything in, because I knew I wanted to change that eye. So this line I brought into here. Now this becomes the hairline. It comes around like that now. The face goes back in space. I've never drawn this bust before. I've had kids draw it, And now I see why they have such a hard time with it. So all this means nothing. This area here, to me now, it means nothing. I'm going to check the nose again, because this nose on this bust, my first impression of this nose is that it's very short. I have a way of making noses long. And I know why I do that, because I have a long nose. So in art, we always draw ourselves. And when we paint, we use colors that are that we are attracted to without knowing it. I don't know why we do that, but that's what everybody does it. A lot of times you see that the colors that you are wearing look like the colors in your painting. So I'm changing, I moved the nose up some, and move that nose up to here. And I am going to clean that off this a little bit. So this is the time to do it. This is, and what's neat about art, you can make changes throughout the entire picture. You're never satisfied. And I say make changes until you're satisfied. And again, I'm just carving. Now, if this was clay, you can do this. What I'm doing now, make these changes. You can make changes in a similar fashion with clay, but you can't with wood. Because wood is a process of taking away, where clay, you're just moving the clay around. You can add and subtract with clay, but with wood you can't. You have to subtract. You can only subtract. Now, I should mention this too. If you're doing a portrait from life, or if you're doing a portrait, somebody asks you to do a portrait for them. See how I moved that lip up, so I'm going to get rid of this line. I don't have to get rid of that line, but it just makes it simpler. Sit and look at your model for a few minutes first before you even start. Just sit and look at them. And then try to figure out, okay, what do you notice? What attracts you about that model, that person, what stands out for you? And it may be different than what their family see. And Splash Kids, when we start meeting again, and as you grow older, you're going to find that when you first start doing portraits of people, they may not like the portrait, because portraiture is an art within itself. It's an art. There's an art to portraiture. And to really get good at it, someone needs to teach you what is that. And Splash Kids, I'm going to, as you get a little bit older in your teens, and people start asking you to do things for them, for you to make a little money, if you ask me nicely and if you act right and don't give me a lot of trouble. So portraits are something you have to work on. It takes me about 5 portraits from life. Everybody's different. For me, to really do a good portrait, to get my chops back, just like musicians, trumpet players need to They need to practice to make sure that they still have their lips. You know, guitar players, they call it getting, their chops. Well, artists have chops too. And for me to get my chops back, it'll take me about three. It may take 3 portraits. It may take 5 portraits, serious portraits. Normal for me used to be around 3. Whenever I take off from doing portraits, I'm doing the ear now. When you're doing ears, just look at the curved lines. Just go. Don't let the ear freak you out. Just take your time and pick one area of the ear and then go to the next. Don't let it freak you out. Ears can be kind of scary because there's so much going on. Now I'm just going to see where this ear might be on the other side by measuring. Then I look at the object and see where it seems to be on the object, which it seems to be a little lower. Because people are not symmetrical exactly. The right side of your face actually don't look like the left side of your face. You look in the mirror in the mornings, but you're not seeing an accurate image of what you look like. Because everything's backwards. And that's an accurate, you're seeing a reflection backwards. Now, since his head is tilted up a little bit, I'm not going to see a lot of the top of his head, but I will see some of the top of his head. His forehead turns about right here, it starts turning back. So I'm using my lines to describe that. So I'm going to leave a lot of lines on here because it's the beauty of drawing. Again, I don't really want, what some of you will do, you'll discover smudging with your fingers. Don't do that. Use your stumps, your art stumps to do that. But I would say wait before you start smearing and smudging. Because if you smudge intelligently, if you know what you're doing, if it's not just, hey, I can't show this light without smudging, then what'll happen is you'll stunt your growth. So I probably wouldn't smudge unless I was using charcoal. I don't really like smudging pencil at all. There's the beauty of the material. You hear me talk about that a lot. Now, I would suggest that you would have people model for you at home. Your parents, your brother, your sister, have them sit for you if you can. So what I've done is I've used lines. Now I'm going to go to another pencil now. I'm not going to use the 2B. I'm going to use the, I guess all I have now is a 6B, a 2B or a 6B. I guess I will use the 2B. I need to get some more pencils in here. I thought I had brought some pencils. Oh, I did. I remember to bring my pencil. It's a 5B. I don't want to use that. Okay, I'm going to have to get my other pencil set because it has more variety. So I'm going to use the 2B. I have 5B, 6B, and 2B in there. And if the 2B don't do what I want it to do, I'll go to a 5B. So this area here describes the side of the face turning back. I'm going to go to a real dark pencil just for fun. I'm going to go to the 5B just for fun and see what happens. It's going to be harder to control it, but 2B is a little bit too slow. So this is the front edge of the face here. See how dark that is? That's why I'm using 5B. Then it goes back in space to here. And so you can see those lines. That's why I'm using this 5B. I can sort of see underneath the chin. And that's what this line indicates, this line here. I'm going to shade. I'm barely touching the page with this 5B. This paper has some texture to it. Because it's really a multi-medium media paper. You can use watercolors with it. And so it has tooth, and that's what's showing through here. So I don't really have to cross hatch to get the effect that I want. I can just use hatch marks. This bust don't have eyebrows. I'm just going to make the top of his eye a little dark to remind you about the eyebrows. I'm going to go ahead and shade in, give him some eyes. I'm going to leave a little white area for the light. So once I did that, now it's beginning to look not like a bust, but more like a person. He has eyebrows that's coming around like this. I'm just going to make some dark lines for that. You can't see that in the bust. You can see, so face turns back from here to there. So I want to show that area by making this area dark. And the chin is out in front of the neck. A dark line usually projects forward. Okay, if he had shoulders, his shoulders would probably be around in here somewhere. Draw the curly hair. I'm almost done. So if I made the hair black, all of a sudden, it begins to look more like a real person. I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to go back and do some shades, quick shading. I'm using my 2H pencil again. So now I'm focusing on the shadows and the turn of the face. Okay, I'm just about done. I'm going to go back with my heavy pencil just to put in some marks that's just going to make the drawing, resonate a little bit better with me. Okay. So the bust, if I was just drawing the bust, it would come down like this and sit on this rectangle. That line would go like that. And this one is kind of like this. That's a shadow that's cast there. Doing little things like this is good practice too, because it's actually foreshortened. The base is foreshortened. So I'm just going to draw this base, draw that shadow. I'm going to draw this shadow. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and put these things in because it's just, I think it's a little bit more fun. I think it might be fun to do. There's a shadow behind the head. It's kind of light. Then there's a shadow on this side that's kind of dark. shadow turns out like that. I'm using the side of my pencil for this. So once I start putting in what I actually see, all of a sudden it's beginning to look, hopefully, more like a sculpture again. I was heading in the way of making it look like a human being, but I think just drawing the sculpture. See, this line is dark and this is light. Only use what you need as far as line variation. Think about varying your line. So let the line describe what you're doing. Just a shadow cast off like that. Make this a little darker. Make that line a little darker. And I think it makes a more interesting drawing. So now these little dark areas here make a little bit more sense. So remember, it's all about the finished product, the drawing. But, you know, you're practicing. When I was in school, we did a lot of practicing, 30 drawings in every class. And I always tried to make my drawings look like they were finished somehow. And that's by really speaking through your drawing. Your drawing is an investigation, and that's what, well, we can see your mind, your focus and everything. That enhances your drawing. Okay, that's it. Okay. Wow. Once again, this has been a pleasure because I like drawing. I really like drawing, so, this was a little tougher than I thought it was going to be, but it was fun. I hope that you learned something. You can replay this. You can also catch this class on YouTube by tomorrow. And please check out some of our previous classes if you're just starting so that you can catch up. This has been Charlie Newton, your teaching artist, and this has been Splash. And remember, art is for everyone. Bye-bye.